Okay, let's unpack this. What if I told you that something we've all been taught is, well, essential for health? Something most of us do every single day, taking a bath or shower, could actually be a significant source of danger for older adults.
Sounds completely backward, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
cleanliness is next
Yeah.
to godliness, right? That's what we always hear.
Exactly.
But when you look closely at how the body changes as we age, those daily habits, especially around bathing, they introduce risks that most people, and honestly, even some healthcare providers, don't fully appreciate.
And we're not talking about minor things here, like, wrinkled fingers from being in the tub too long.
No, no, far from it.
The source material we're diving into today points to some really serious dangers. Potential heart issues, severe skin damage, those devastating falls, um, vulnerability to temperature shifts, and even, surprisingly, a weaker immune system.
hmm And this deep dive, it's really built on decades of frontline experience. Our source is a doctor with over 40 years specializing in elderly patient care.
Wow, 40 years.
Yeah, someone who has seen these issues unfold repeatedly in clinical practice, and it's all backed by studies and research, too. They offer let's say, a stark reality check, but also, thankfully, a roadmap for prevention.
So our mission here feels pretty crucial then. To move past that gut instinct that more cleaning is always better and truly understand why bathing habits need to adapt as we get older.
Right. It's about understanding the why.
We'll explore these surprising risks, these kind of hidden dangers, and most importantly, give you the practical, doctor-recommended steps to make bathing safer and healthier as you age.
It's all about gaining informed control, really, over a routine that impacts comfort, safety, and independence every single day.
Okay, let's dive in. Where should we start?
Let's start with something that might really catch you off guard. The hidden strain that hot baths can put on an older adult's heart.
Hot baths. Relaxing, right? That's the common wisdom.
That's what we think. But for someone over 65, it can actually be more like a workout for the cardiovascular system, a workout they might not be equipped to handle.
Okay, explain that. How does hot water stress the heart?
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. Stepping into hot water causes your blood vessels to dilate. They widen very quickly.
Okay.
Think of it like suddenly opening all the valves in a plumbing system. What happens?
Pressure drops.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Blood pressure drops, and it drops fast. Now, for a younger person, their body adjusts almost instantly. It compensates.
Right.
But for seniors, especially those maybe already dealing with high blood pressure, heart disease, or, just weaker circulation, that sudden pressure drop is a major stressor.
Ah, okay. So the body's response system isn't as quick?
Precisely. As we age, the autonomic nervous system, that's the body's automatic pilot controlling things like blood pressure, heart rate, it becomes less responsive.
Like slower reflexes.
Kind of like the reaction time on the brakes of an older car, just not a shark.
Yeah.
So you're in hot water, vessels expand, pressure drops. Then you stand up or step out into cooler air.
And the body needs to react fast.
It needs to constrict those vessels fast to bring the pressure back up. But if that nervous system is sluggish, the pressure stays low. That leads to something called orthostatic hypotension.
Orthostatic hypotension. That sounds technical. What does it feel like?
Well, that's the medical term, yeah. But what it means for you is dizziness, lightheadedness, maybe even fainting.
Fainting in a bathroom. That sounds incredibly dangerous.
It is, and we'll definitely get more into falls later, but yes. And the heat itself also adds a significant load. The doctor in our source material notes that bathing in water hotter than 41 degrees Celsius, that's about 106 Fahrenheit, for over 15 minutes.
Okay.
That can increase the cardiovascular load by 20 to 30%.
20 to 30%. That sounds like a lot.
It is. The doctor strikingly compares it to doing a light jog.
A light jog while sitting in a bath.
Well, maybe not sitting the whole time, but yeah, imagine that level of exertion inside a potentially slippery shower stall or bathtub. It really puts that stress level into perspective, doesn't it?
It really does. Wow.
And there's a case study the doctor shared. It was quite poignant. A 90-year-old gentleman. He'd taken hot baths daily his whole life, never had an issue.
Until
One morning he had a heart attack right there in his bathroom. He was very fortunate his daughter found him quickly, but it landed him in the ICU.
Oh, my goodness.
And he never bathed alone again after that. This isn't just theoretical, It's happening. It's a real risk.
Wow, that story really makes it feel very real. Okay, so based on this clear risk, what are the absolute must-do safety tips? How do we protect the heart and manage these temperature changes during bathing?
Okay, the first one is paramount.
Hmm.
Lower the water temperature, Aim for warm, not hot.
What temperature is that, roughly?
The recommendation is between 38 and 40 degrees Celsius. That's about 100.4 to 104 Fahrenheit.
Okay.
And test it. Don't just guess. Use the back of your hand, your wrist. It should feel pleasant, comfortable, definitely not uncomfortably hot.
And the duration, the time in the water matters too, right? You mentioned 15 minutes being a threshold.
Absolutely. Limit your time in the water. Maximum of 10 minutes is the advice.
10 minutes,
You
Coco.
can absolutely get clean in that time without overstressing your system. Also, and this is important, hydration. Drink a glass of water before and after your bath,
Why before and after?
because dehydration can actually make those blood pressure drops even worse, more likely to happen. So staying hydrated helps stabilize things.
Makes sense. Now, sitting down seems like such a simple thing, but the doctor really emphasizes it.
Oh, it's incredibly effective. Using a sturdy shower chair drastically reduces the risk of falls,
Yeah.
especially if you do feel a bit dizzy standing up from the warm water.
Right, connecting back to that dizziness risk.
Exactly. And another key point, if you're over 80 or if you live alone, the doctor strongly advises never bathing unsupervised.
That might be tough for some people, pride-wise.
It can be, I understand that, but it's about safety over pride. Let someone know you're going to bathe, have them check in, or look into those medical alert systems designed specifically for bathrooms. These are simple preventative steps that can, quite literally, save a life.
Okay, that covers the internal cardiovascular stress. Really important points there.
Mm.
Now, let's shift to the external impact specifically. How this routine of daily bathing can cause severe damage to aging skin. I mean, we grew up believing daily washing was just necessary, the right thing to do.
And, for younger, more resilient skin, it's generally less of an issue.
Hmm.
But aging skin is fundamentally different. It changes.
How so?
Well, after about age 50, our skin's ability to produce its natural oils and lipids, the things that keep it moist and protected, that ability drops dramatically.
Dramatically.
Yeah, like you might only be making about half as much moisture and protective oil as you did back in your 20s. Your skin barrier just naturally becomes thinner, more fragile.
Okay, half as much. That's significant. So when you combine that naturally reduced protection with daily washing, especially using hot water and maybe harsh soap,
You're essentially stripping away the little defense your skin has left day after day after day. It accelerates dryness, flaking, irritation. It can even make your skin look older.
mm,
The doctor used this analogy of sort of sanding away a protective coat on wood. You just keep wearing it down.
yeah, it's a powerful image.
It is. And the case of Mrs. H, a 78-year-old woman the doctor treated, really highlights this. She was bathing and scrubbing herself head to toe every single day. She was absolutely convinced she was just keeping clean, doing the right thing.
But she was experiencing problems.
Oh, yes. Her skin was severely red, inflamed, incredibly itchy. She was miserable.
So what was happening?
The doctor examined her skin, found it was incredibly dry and cracked. Under a microscope, they actually saw micro tears, tiny little breaks in the skin.
Micro tears, wow.
She was, understandably, quite distraught when she realized her efforts to be clean were actually destroying her skin's natural barrier, leaving it wide open and vulnerable to infection.
And there's research backing this up too.
Yes, a study the doctor cited found that elderly people who bathed with soap more than 4 times a week had a 50% higher chance of having clinically dry skin. 60%.
That's a huge difference.
It is. And those cracks, those micro tears we mentioned, they aren't just uncomfortable. They're entry points for bacteria. They can lead to serious skin infections, sometimes even needing hospitalization.
Okay, this is serious. So what's the right approach then? We need to keep clean, obviously, but how do we do it without damaging aging skin?
Right, we can't just stop cleaning altogether. But the frequency needs adjustment. That's key. The doctor strongly recommends reducing bathing frequency to about 3 times a week.
3 times a week. Okay.
This allows the skin enough time to recover and rebuild that natural oil barrier between washes. Remember, those oil-producing glands, the sebaceous glands, they're less active as we age, so they need more time to catch up.
3 times a week. That might feel strange or even, unclean to someone used to a daily shower.
I get that. It's a big shift in mindset for many. But the goal has to be healthy, functional skin, not just the feeling of being scrubbed clean every single moment. Healthy skin protects you.
Right. Focus on health, not just habit. What about the soap itself? Does that matter?
Hugely. This is crucial. Most commercial bar soaps and many body washes are alkaline. They have a high pH, maybe 9 to 11.
And that's bad for skin.
Yes, because your skin's natural healthy state is slightly acidic, with a pH around 5.5. Using those high pH alkaline soaps disrupts this natural acid mantle. It weakens the skin barrier further.
So what should people look for instead?
The recommendation is to use a mild pH balance cleanser. Ideally, look for something with a pH between 5.5 and 6.0. These cleansers work gently, they clean effectively without stripping away all that necessary protection.
Okay, mild pH balance. And does it matter where you use the soap?
Absolutely. You really don't need to lather up your entire body from neck to toes every single time you bathe.
Really?
Think about it. Focus the soap usage on the areas most prone to odor or sweat buildup. That's usually the armpits, the groin area, and the feet.
Armpits, groin, feet. Got
For
it.
the rest of your body, arms, legs, back, chest, often a gentle wash with just warm water, and maybe a soft cloth is perfectly sufficient. Over-scrubbing those areas with soap frequently is often unnecessary and frankly just contributes to the dryness and irritation.
Okay, so less frequent bathing, milder pH balance soap, and use it selectively. What comes next? I think you mentioned something about a golden 3 minutes.
Yes, this is so vital for locking in moisture. The golden rule is this. As soon as you finish bathing, gently pat your skin dry. Don't rub aggressively. That can irritate fragile skin.
Pat dry. Okay.
And then apply your moisturizer within 3 minutes while your skin is still slightly damp.
Within 3 minutes. Why so specific?
Because when your skin is slightly damp, it acts like a sponge. It's primed to absorb hydration really effectively. If you wait longer, say 10 or 15 minutes, that surface water evaporates, and it can actually start pulling moisture out of your skin, making it drier. Applying moisturizer quickly, within those 3 minutes, seals in the moisture you just absorbed from the bath or shower and prevents further moisture loss.
That's a great practical tip. Lock it in quickly. Are there specific ingredients we should look for in those moisturizers?
Yes, the doctor highlights 2 key ones, ceramides and hyaluronic acid.
Ceramides and hyaluronic acid.
Okay. Think of ceramides as the mortar that holds your skin cells, the bricks, together in that protective barrier wall. They help seal in moisture and keep irritants and bacteria out.
Right, the mortar. Makes sense.
And hyaluronic acid is like a super sponge. It's amazing at drawing water, either from deeper skin layers or from the air, if it's humid, into the upper layers of the skin. This keeps it looking and feeling plump, supple, and healthy.
So using products with both of those.
It significantly boosts your skin's ability to stay hydrated, resilient, and maintain that all-important barrier function. It's a powerful combination for aging skin.
Those steps for skin health are incredibly practical. Okay, let's move on. This next topic is one that is, I think, arguably the most feared consequence of bathing for seniors. Falls.
Yes, this isn't just a risk. Sadly, it's the leading cause of injury among the elderly. And bathrooms. They really are ground zero for these incidents.
Ground zero, that's a stark term.
It reflects the reality the doctor sees. They've witnessed the devastating impact firsthand, time and time again. It's heartbreaking.
The case study shared about the 88-year-old gentleman. It's hard to forget. Fractured his hip just stepping out of the tub.
Yes. And it wasn't just a broken bone, was it? It fundamentally changed his life.
It broke his life, is how the source put it. He lost his independence, had to move into assisted living. One single fall shattered his routine, his confidence, his freedom.
And that story, unfortunately, isn't unique. The statistics are truly chilling. About 38% of falls among the elderly happen during or immediately after bathing. 38%.
Nearly 4 out of 10 falls connected to bathing.
Yes. And consider this stark fact from research cited, I believe, from Severs Hospital. For individuals over 80 who suffer a hip fracture from a fall, the one-year mortality rate is around 25%.
25%. 1 in 4 people die within a year.
1 in 4. A single fall, particularly a hip fracture, can trigger this cascading decline in health, mobility, and ultimately survival. It's incredibly serious.
Why are bathrooms so uniquely dangerous? What makes them this ground zero?
Well, it's really a perfect storm of factors converging in one small space.
Okay.
First, you have the obvious. Slippery surfaces, water, soap scum, condensation on tiles. It's inherently slick. Second, you have that potential dizziness from sudden blood pressure changes we talked about earlier, especially getting up after warm water exposure. Orthostatic hypotension.
The dizziness factor again.
Exactly. Then you layer on top of that the natural effects of aging. Decreased balance, reduced muscle strength, slower reflexes, maybe poor coordination or vision issues.
So slippery floor, maybe feeling dizzy, and less physical ability to recover balance.
Precisely. Put all of that together in what's often a small, sometimes cluttered space with hard surfaces everywhere, and the risk just becomes alarmingly high.
It sounds almost unavoidable when you list it like that. But the good news, I hope, is that many of these risks are preventable. We can do things.
Absolutely. That's the crucial message here. Unlike some age-related declines, many of the risks contributing to bathroom falls are highly preventable with relatively simple practical steps.
Okay, like what are the top recommendations?
First and foremost, non-slip mats. Get good quality ones inside the tub or shower floor and also on the bathroom floor outside where you step out. They're inexpensive and incredibly effective.
Simple, but makes a huge difference.
Definitely. Also, get rid of any loose rugs or bath mats that can bunch up or slide around. They are major tripping hazards.
Good point. What about grab bars?
Essential. Install sturdy grab bars or safety handles near the tub, the shower entrance, and crucially, near the toilet. Make sure they're properly anchored into the wall studs. They provide vital support for standing up, sitting down, and steadying yourself.
Okay, mats. No loose rugs, grab bars. And we talked about the shower chair for heart health. It's key for fall prevention too, isn't it?
It is paramount. Honestly, using a shower chair is probably one of the single most impactful steps you can take. Some studies suggest it can reduce the risk of falls during bathing by over 90%.
90%. That's massive.
It is because you're eliminating that challenge of standing, balancing, and moving on a wet, slippery surface. You're stable and seated.
Makes total sense. Anything else?
Yes, move slowly. Don't rush getting in or out of the tub or shower. Give your body and your blood pressure time to adjust when you stand up, whether it's from the bath, the shower chair, or the toilet. If you feel any dizziness at all, sit right back down immediately and wait for it to pass. Don't try to push through it.
Safety first, always.
Always. And again, that point about assistance. Pride really shouldn't get in the way of safety. If you're over 80, or if you live alone and maybe feel a bit unsteady sometimes, arranging for someone to be nearby or check in during bathing time is just a smart protective measure. It's about maintaining independence long term.
Such important practical advice there. Okay, moving to the fourth critical point, which the source says is often overlooked, managing body temperature after bathing. This is vital for seniors.
Yes, this is another area where the aging body shows less resilience. Our ability to regulate and maintain a stable internal core body temperature decreases significantly as we age.
How significant?
Well, the source suggests that after age 80, that adaptability, that ability to cope with temperature changes, can be reduced by up to 40% compared to when you were younger.
40% less adaptable.
Okay? So, stepping out of warm water into even a mildly cool room makes you particularly vulnerable to getting chilled quickly.
And the case study the doctor shared here was, again, quite sobering. A 92-year-old woman.
Yes, a heartbreaking situation. She took a warm bath, she didn't dry herself off thoroughly enough, and then she sat down in a room that was maybe just a little bit chilly, not freezing, but cool.
And what happened?
Her core body temperature dropped rapidly. It fell to 34.5 degrees Celsius, which is about 94.1 Fahrenheit. That's clinical hypothermia. She had to be rushed to the emergency room.
Wow, just from not drying off properly and sitting in a cool room.
It shows how a seemingly small oversight, something a younger person wouldn't even notice, can have severe, even life-threatening consequences because the older body simply can't compensate as effectively anymore.
Okay, so what are the practical, potentially life-saving steps for managing temperature safely after a bath?
First, prepare the environment. Warm the bathroom before you even start bathing. Close the door, maybe run the shower for a minute to get some steam, or use a small space heater safely if needed.
Why does that help?
It minimizes the temperature shock when you step out of the warm water. That sudden contrast is less stressful on the heart and the nervous system.
Makes sense. Minimize the shock. Then what?
Then, rule number 2, dry your entire body immediately and thoroughly with a warm towel. Have it ready. Don't linger wet.
Why immediately?
Because water evaporating from your skin pulls heat away from your body very rapidly. It's physics. This significantly increases the risk of getting chills and, in vulnerable individuals, potentially hypothermia, even if the room feels reasonably warm.
Okay, dry off quickly and completely, and getting dressed right away is part of that.
Absolutely essential. Put on warm clothing immediately after drying. Don't forget to dry your hair too, if you washed it. A wet head loses a surprising amount of body heat. Think layers, warm socks, maybe a cozy robe, whatever helps you feel warm and it helps stabilize your core temperature quickly.
This next tip is simple, but feels so right, the idea of drinking a warm beverage afterwards.
Yes, it's a lovely, comforting thing to do, but it's also physiologically helpful. A cup of warm tea, maybe some warm water with lemon, or warm milk after bathing helps warm you from the inside out.
Ah, internal warming.
Exactly. It aids circulation and helps stabilize your internal temperature, making you feel much more comfortable and less vulnerable to that post-bath chill.
And the timing of the bath itself can make a difference, too.
Yes, this is particularly useful in colder weather or winter months. The doctor suggests considering bathing in the mid-afternoon, say between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m.,
Why then?
because that's often the warmest part of the day, naturally. This reduces the temperature contrast between your warm body after the bath and the surrounding environment. It's generally less of a shock and safer than, say, a bath first thing in the morning when the house might be coldest, or an evening bath right before bed when ambient temperatures might drop overnight.
Adjusting the time. Another simple but potentially impactful change. Okay, finally, let's tackle the fifth surprising truth from our source, and this one is perhaps the most counterintuitive of all. Being too clean can actually weaken the immune system.
Yeah, this one really goes against decades of public health messaging, doesn't it? Clean is good. But it's true, especially when we're talking about aging skin.
How can being clean be bad for immunity?
Okay, so your skin isn't just a dead physical barrier. It's a living ecosystem. It hosts literally millions, maybe billions of beneficial bacteria. This community is called your skin microbiome.
Our skin has its own microbiome, like the gut.
Exactly. And this skin microbiome is incredibly important. It acts as your first line of defense, a living protective shield against harmful invaders, bad bacteria, viruses, fungi.
Okay, a protective shield of good bacteria, so.
So frequent bathing, especially with soap, and particularly with harsh antibacterial soaps,
Yeah.
washes away that protective shield. It disrupts the ecosystem. And for seniors, this microbiome is often more fragile to begin with, and it recovers much more slowly after being disrupted. So when you're scrubbing your skin clean, you might actually be scrubbing away your body's natural defense system.
Wow, okay. The case study mentioned here really drives this home, the 83-year-old woman.
Yes, she was suffering from recurring skin infections, persistent rashes, and just unbearable dryness. And it turned out she was bathing daily with a strong antibacterial soap.
Thinking she was preventing infection?
Exactly. She thought she was doing the absolute best thing to stay healthy and prevent skin problems. But in reality, she was making herself more vulnerable. She had completely stripped her skin of its natural oils, yes, but crucially, also its beneficial bacteria, its protective microbiome. Those tiny cracks in her severely dry skin then became easy entry points for pathogens because her natural defense was gone. Her skin couldn't fight back effectively.
Did things improve for her?
Dramatically, yes, but only when her habits shifted. When she started bathing less frequently, switched to very mild cleansers, and really prioritized moisturizing to restore the skin barrier, her skin finally began to heal and the infection stopped. It allowed her natural microbiome a chance to recover and do its job.
That's incredible. And there was a specific study mentioned about this link between bathing frequency and skin immunity.
Yes, quite a remarkable finding cited. It was a collaboration involving, I believe, Seoul National University. They found that elderly individuals over 75 who bathed daily with soap had on average 35% lower skin immunity markers compared to those who bathed just 2 or 3 times per week.
35% lower immunity just from bathing daily versus a few times a week.
35%. That number is really worth pausing on, isn't it? It powerfully underscores the unintended negative impact that overbathing can have on our natural defenses as we age.
It really does. Wow. Okay, so the balance is clearly key here. How do we find that sweet spot? How do we stay clean enough without totally compromising our skin's vital immune function?
Well, the recommendations will sound familiar because they closely mirror the tips for general skin health we already discussed.
Right.
It all works together.
Right.
First, limit the full baths or showers. Aim for 2 or 3 times per week. This gives your skin and its crucial community of good bacteria time to recover and repopulate between washes.
Okay, less frequency again. And the soap type.
Avoid those harsh antibacterial body washes for general everyday use. They kill bacteria indiscriminately. They wipe out the helpful bacteria right along with any potentially harmful ones.
Yeah.
You need those good guys.
So stick to the mild pH-balanced cleansers we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Mild, pH-balanced, gentle. And again, be selective with where you use soap. You don't need it everywhere, every time. Focus on the key areas: armpits, groin, feet. Gentle rinsing is often enough elsewhere.
Makes sense. Protect the good bacteria where possible. Is there anything else related to the environment?
Yes, one more thing. Maintain adequate indoor humidity, especially in dry winter months. or arid climates.
How does humidity help the microbiome?
Because very dry air sucks moisture out of your skin. This weakens the physical skin barrier, making it more permeable, and it also disrupts the delicate balance of the microbiome living on that barrier. Keeping indoor humidity somewhere between 40 and 60% helps support both the skin barrier and its protective microbial community.
So a humidifier could actually be a tool for better skin immunity in dry
It
conditions.
certainly can be, yes. It helps create a more skin-friendly environment overall.
This has been incredibly eye-opening. It's clear that shifting these long-held habits, like thinking we must bathe daily, can feel difficult. It might even feel a little counterintuitive at first.
It definitely can challenge deeply ingrained beliefs about cleanliness.
But it's so important to understand that these adjustments aren't about being neglectful or unclean. They're about informed care. They're about recognizing how the body changes with age and adapting our routines to support it.
Precisely. These steps preserve not just physical health, avoiding falls, heart strain, skin breakdown, but also dignity, comfort, and crucially, independence for longer.
And like you said, these aren't drastic, impossible demands. They're practical, research-backed adjustments from an expert who has seen repeatedly the consequences of not making them.
Small changes, big impact.
So to kind of synthesize this deep dive, we've learned that while bathing is, of course, essential, how we bathe and how often needs mindful adjustment as we get older. It's not about sacrificing cleanliness at all.
No, not at all.
It's about understanding these specific age-related vulnerabilities. The heart's response to heat, the increasing fragility of the skin barrier, the truly devastating risk of falls, the challenges with temperature regulation, and even the importance of our skin's own immune system, the microbiome.
And this knowledge is powerful. It's powerful for you whether you're in this age group yourself or perhaps you're caring for parents or other loved ones who are. It equips you to make informed choices, proactive choices that directly impact safety and well-being every single day.
These are simple, actionable steps coming straight from deep clinical experience, and the best time to implement them isn't after a fall or after the skin issues become severe or after a scare. It's now.
It reminds you of that wise ancient Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now.
I like that.
It applies perfectly here, doesn't it? Making these adjustments to bathing habits now is like planting that tree for your future comfort, your future safety, your future health and independence. You start today.
So think about how embracing these small changes, maybe bathing one less day a week, turning the water temp down a bit, investing in that shower chair, moisturizing right away, might not just prevent problems down the road, but could truly contribute to living more comfortably, more safely, and more independently as you get older. What aspect of these findings, these surprising truths about bathing, stands out most to you?